In the early 1970s, Finland had some of the worst cardiovascular health in the world. Among middle-aged Finnish men, CHD mortality was over 500 deaths per 100,000, which was huge compared to any other developed nations. This is when the research for a heart disease study was conducted for men between the ages of 40 and 60. The research followed over 2,000 Finnish men over a span of 20 years, and what they found out was rather shocking. Despite their abnormally high mortality rates, a small percentage of Finnish men who lived longer and healthier lives had one thing in common. They sauna bathed multiple times a week. And here's what's even more interesting. Over the next 50 years, Finland's cardiovascular mortality rates dropped by 82%. That's one of the largest improvements ever recorded. And inside the research, one behavior kept showing up again and again in the men who lived the longest: frequent sauna bathing. But the question is, why? Well, that is exactly what we'll be covering in today's video. How does sauna bathing even correlate with lifespan? What happens inside your body when you step into a sauna? And how can you get the most out of your sauna session? So when scientists looked deeper into the Finnish lifestyle, they noticed a pattern that was not subtle. It was bold, it was obvious, and it was statistically undeniable. Sauna use wasn't just a cultural tradition, it was a built-in longevity tool. The men using saunas 4 to 7 times per week had the most dramatic reduction in cardiovascular health, almost 50%. That's not a small improvement. Results that strong are almost unheard of in population-level health studies. It puts sauna use in the same category as quitting smoking. Now, the dose response curve is where things get even more interesting. If people use a sauna only 2 to 3 times per week, the risk dropped by only 27%. But if they used it 4 to 7 times per week, the drop was 50%. Basically, this is your body saying, expose me to more heat as often as you can, and I'll adapt and I'll get stronger. And the part that makes this sauna research so compelling is the protective effects stayed strong even after the researchers adjusted for pretty much everything else. And it didn't matter if they were financially comfortable or struggling financially. Sauna use remained one of the strongest predictors of who lived the longest, and it wasn't just the cardiovascular protection. The people who saunaed frequently had lower all-cause mortality, which means they were less likely to die from any cause: infection, stroke, metabolic disease, even accidents. Studies also found a reduced risk of sudden cardiac death, which is often unpredictable and fatal within minutes. Sauna use lowered that risk significantly. So when people say, is sauna really that good for you? The answer is absolutely yes. It's not hype, it's in the data. Real world, population level data. If you're using sauna regularly, you need to stay on top of your mineral levels. Sweating is incredible for reducing the body's toxic burden. But what most people don't realize is that sauna sessions also use up key minerals that your body relies on for energy, hydration, and also recovery. So I put together a completely free guide that breaks down the essential minerals your body needs and exactly how to replenish them, especially if you're doing heat therapies like saunaing. You can grab your free copy of my minerals guide, link in the description below. Now let's break down what happens the moment you enter a sauna, because the internal response is far more dramatic than most people realize. First thing your body does is activate your cardiovascular system. It senses the high heat and sends messages to your heart saying, we need to cool the system down right now before it overheats. Your heart rate begins climbing, and it can easily reach 120 to 150 beats per minute, depending on the temperature and your conditioning. That's the same heart rate you'd hit if you were doing a light jog. This is why sauna is often referred to as passive cardio. You're not moving, but your heart's doing a lot of work. Next, your blood vessels expand. When your blood vessels open, circulation improves, so more oxygen-rich blood reaches your muscles, your brain, and also your organs. This also explains why so many people feel mentally sharp after a sauna. Essentially, you've increased the blood flow to your brain and improved nutrient delivery. And within minutes, your body begins to pour sweat out of your skin. This is one of the most powerful detoxification channels the body has. Sweating is not just water leaving your body. Sweat contains trace amounts of heavy metals, plastics, and metabolic waste. Your body is literally excreting metabolic byproducts through your skin. Meanwhile, your core temperature rises by about 1 or 2 degrees Celsius. Now, listen, that doesn't sound like much, but inside your body, that's a huge shift. Your body treats that rise as a controlled threat, essentially. So it's not dangerous, but it's enough to activate major internal systems. This is why heat therapy has such profound effects on the immune system, cardiovascular function, fitness, and mental health. You're basically giving your body a controlled stressor and you're training it to adapt. So a question I often get in the DMs is, what's the difference between a traditional sauna and an infrared sauna? Like, which one should I pick? Now, most people have tested out both, but the way they work on your body is very different. With a traditional sauna, the air heats up around you. So the room gets hot, your skin heats up, and then your internal temperature rises. Essentially, it's an external source of heat that forces your cardiovascular system to work harder as your body tries to cool itself down. Whereas with infrared saunas, it works in the opposite way. So instead of heating up the air, it uses infrared light waves to penetrate deeper into your tissues. This creates internal heat from the inside out. Because of that deeper penetration, infrared saunas stimulate a different kind of sweat, and that is called sebaceous sweat. This sweat comes from the oil-based glands in our skin. But why does that matter? It's because sebaceous sweat carries a higher concentration of toxins. So it's the nasties like the heavy metals, the plastics, the petrochemicals, the fat-soluble waste that's all carried out through this sweat far more effectively. This is why many detox protocols worldwide use infrared saunas as the preferred method. Now listen, traditional saunas are incredible for cardiovascular health, circulation, and also heat conditioning. But if you're dealing with brain fog, fatigue, inflammation, and a high toxic load, infrared saunas are definitely the better choice. Now here's the part where it really gets fascinating. The cellular response that occurs with saunaing. When your internal temperature rises, your body activates heat shock proteins. These are essentially like your maintenance crew. So they repair damaged cells, they restore misfolded proteins, and they help remove cellular waste. Think of them as an inspector walking through the body saying, that protein's not working, I'll fix it. Or this one's damaged, I'll recycle it. And this is why saunaing is connected to reduced inflammation. Your cells become cleaner and basically they function better. Heat shock proteins also have a powerful anti-aging effect because aging is largely driven by cellular damage, inflammation, and also protein breakdown. Sauna stimulates your body to repair those issues consistently. And this is also why you see elite athletes and high performers use sauna as a regular recovery tool. It speeds up tissue repair, it reduces muscle soreness, it improves resilience. So here's the deal. Heat therapy is not new. It has existed for thousands of years. So obviously you've got Finnish saunas, Native American sweat lodges, you had the Japanese onsen. Every ancient culture eventually stumbled on the realization that heat heals the body. And now modern science is finally catching up. So most people don't realize that sauna protocols differ depending on the types of saunas that you're using. So traditional saunas, they run a lot hotter and they stress out your cardiovascular system a lot more. Whilst infrared saunas, they run cooler, but they penetrate deeper, allowing for essentially longer sessions. So whether you're using a traditional sauna or an infrared sauna, here's exactly how to optimize your session for maximum benefit and also avoid dangerous mistakes. So the first thing to look at is session duration. So when it comes to traditional saunas, an effective approach would be to use it for no longer than 10 to 20 minutes. With infrared saunas, you can stay in a lot longer, usually 20 to 40 minutes because the air's cooler and the heat is really internal. You can definitely last a lot longer in infrared saunas. Now, when it comes to dangerous mistakes, it's pushing beyond 20 minutes in a traditional sauna, basically when your body's not conditioned for that high level of external heat. It really is tough when you're in a traditional sauna going beyond 20 minutes to start. So next up, we have temperature. So with traditional saunas, between 70 to 90 degrees. With infrared saunas, you can do between 45 to 60 degrees. Essentially, it's a lower temperature, but it's deeper tissue heating. So a dangerous mistake with infrared saunas is setting the sauna too hot. People assume hotter equals better, but infrared works through light penetration, not air heat. You will definitely sweat at lower temperatures, trust me. Next up, we need to look at hydration and also minerals. For both types of saunaing, it's really important to stay hydrated and also replenish the mineral loss. loss. Now, infrared saunas cause a heavier sweat volume and a higher mineral loss, so replenishing sodium, potassium, and magnesium is really essential. And a dangerous mistake is using the sauna whilst you feel dehydrated or just after you've had a coffee. This is when people get headaches or they feel drained after using the sauna. So make sure you're properly hydrated before going in. Then we have frequency. So an effective dose for a traditional sauna would be 2 to 4 times per week. With an infrared sauna, you could probably push to 5 times a week. Really depends on your goals. If you're focusing on detox, you can definitely use it for daily use. And a dangerous thing to do would be switching the types of saunas you're using as a beginner. So going from infrared, traditional, you want to stick with one sauna so your body adapts and you get used to it. Next up, we have alcohol use. It's a bit of a no-brainer here. You want to stay sober always when using a sauna. And it's dangerous to use the sauna after a heavy night of drinking because it just multiplies the dehydration risk and also increases the chance of fainting. Now, that said, if you go to Finland, they do drink beers in the saunas. But again, if you're a beginner, it's absolutely something you don't want to do. Next up, we have cooling down. So regardless if you're using infrared or traditional, cooling down is really important. So you can do cold therapy. That's great once you're conditioned to it. So again, in Finland, they jump into an ice bath, but if you have an ice tub or you can have a cold shower afterwards, that can be really beneficial. What could be dangerous is skipping cooling down and then going to do some strenuous work or a workout afterwards when your body is still super hot. Finally, let's look at building your tolerance. So in a traditional sauna, you can build up slowly because the air temperature can be quite extreme when you first start. Whereas with infrared, just focus on the amount of times you do it per week because you don't need to spend a lot of time building up your tolerance to the heat because it's not as hot. Most beginners underestimate how stressful heat can be in your body. Your body needs time to adapt and it will do that, but it just needs time. So for traditional sauna use, I would recommend the following. So week 1, you could do 10 minutes a couple of times a week. Week 2, you can go between 12 to 15 minutes. Week 3, you can build up to 15 to 18. And then week 4, you can hit your 20 minutes and then basically just maintain that. Now for infrared saunas, you literally just double it. So on week 4, instead of being 20 minutes, you do 40 minutes. So you get the idea. And what's crazy is the research also shows the timing of when you sauna also matters. So post-workout is fantastic because your body is already warmed up. Also, the studies show that doing standalone morning saunas improves focus and stress resilience for that day ahead. Most people start to notice changes within 2 to 3 weeks of regular sauna use. Benefits such as better sleep, reduced stress, less muscle soreness, and also clearer thinking, enhanced mood, and really just more stable energy throughout the day. Now, saunas are safe for pretty much most people, but awareness always matters. So if you have an unstable cardiovascular issue or you've been told to avoid extreme heat, then obviously get guidance first. Also, being pregnant is another one. The baby's temperature needs to stay stable temperature, so high heat is often not recommended. And also, certain medications can change how your body handles heat and sweating. So if you notice dizziness or heart palpitations or you're dehydrated, I would just skip sauna altogether. Now, here's the thing. Even healthy people should pay attention. So if you're feeling stressed or underslept or you're depleted, your body may not respond well to that additional heat stress. So really, the rule is simple. Heat is a tool, not a test of toughness. So to answer the question that everyone has about saunas, no, it doesn't magically solve all of your health problems, but it is amazing at removing toxins out of your body. It's been shown to help you live longer and healthier if you do it right. The key is to stay consistent and do it safely. And by the way, if you're dealing with severe brain fog, digestive issues, or just random fatigue, check out this video on how I solve it without using supplements, biohacks, or extreme diets. Check it out.